Hey, everybody, this is Dr. John Sherk, and we have an unusual timed brown bag lunch today. I had some other stuff going this week, so we're coming in at 2 o'clock Central Time on Wednesday instead of 11 o'clock Central. So for those of you who see it recording, doesn't really matter, but for those of you live, that's what's going on. So what I want to talk to you about today are the steps that progressively lead to someone saying yes to coming to work for you. We're talking a lot about recruiting these days and the mindset of technicians and how all this stuff works in this new reality. And you've heard me say before many times that in the old days, meaning only 10 years ago, the transaction was fairly simple. Somebody needed a job. You have a job you're offering. You offer them that job. They say yes, and this kicks off a relationship. There's a kind of job transaction that leads to the employment relationship. The problem now is that everybody you're recruiting already has a job. So there's no trigger. There's no trigger saying, oh, they're hiring. I need to know about that, because that's not where they're at mentally. Now, they do have other issues, and we'll talk about those in a second, but that's not the one. And so one of the legacy impacts of that is that they go through a kind of different decision-making process. They go through phases, and these are the phases. I just want to explain them to you. You can make little notes of it. And as you're managing your pipeline for recruiting, you're going to need to increase the number of prospects that you have and your conversation and relationship with them over time, so that when the time comes that you're ready to make an offer, then they need to know that you're credible beyond just the wage, because they can immediately know what the wage is because they're going to see it on their paycheck, but they may not know what else you're talking about in regards to your company, is whether it's real or you're just talking, right? So these are the basic steps. There's step one. There's simply going from unaware that you exist to aware that you exist, right? That there's this company out there, XYZ Corp, XYZ Mechanical, and there's this other company, and there's some awareness that that's a pretty good company. Okay, just that much. Next is where they become aware that they have an unmet need in their current job, and that you're set up to meet that need, right? So that and remember, we talked about the 5 needs: short-term needs, like I can't pay the rent this month; long-term stability, meaning I can't keep driving this far; these benefits won't work when we want to have a baby; there's too much stress; there's too much physical demand that I don't have to make a change now, but sometime soon I need to make a change. That's level 2. Level 3 are relationships and teamwork and this feeling of connectedness to the people I work with. Number 4, level 4, once you have those 3, then comes status, a feeling of status, and the opportunity to advance inside the company. Do I have that? And then the 5th one is simply, do I have the opportunity to feel the pleasure of doing what I do best every day? Okay. One of those 5, these are triggers. And one of those 5 will be the trigger that makes someone decide they're going to leave where they are and come to work for you. Right. So in your recruiting conversation, you have to figure that out. And there's 2 parts. There's them becoming aware that, in fact, whether you help them or not, they become aware, like, man, I just don't think I have a future here beyond my current job. Or, man, this place is every guy for himself. It's such a burden. My family is always cringing when I come home because of the junky day I had. Okay. So they become aware of that, and they become aware that you offer a different solution to that problem. Okay. Now you could say 2A, or you may get a different piece of this here, different step, but you also have to become credible to them. People don't make the choice to go work somewhere else in the same way people make a choice, let's say, to buy a pair of pants. If people buy a pair of pants, what can they do? They can try them on, right? They can put on those pants and go, how does this fit? How do I like it? When you're purchasing a product, you can sample it, but that's very hard to do in terms of deciding you're going to work somewhere. Okay. So sometimes people will say yes to come to work for you, but what they're actually doing is sampling. And sometimes they say they gave notice and they didn't even give notice. They just took vacation, and a week later they decide, no, I don't want to do this. And they go back and their employer never knew the difference, right? It's not typical, but it happens. So the idea there, though, is that you have to be credible to them somehow. If you say, "Well, we're different in our relationships," they have to believe that, not just hear that. And how do they then believe it? Normally, it's because of either a testimonial from someone who works for you, or they know the person who works for you, and they're confirming it privately. Yes, this is how it works. The one person you can guarantee they don't count on for credibility is you. They need third party, quote unquote, confirmation. Now, third party may mean someone who works for you, but if you're making the claim, they need something or somebody else to confirm that credibility. Okay. Now, as you become credible, the next trigger point, the next decision is you begin to feel relevant to them, meaning they want to talk to you. They want your time. They want to know more. All right. So in the hiring process, when you feel them saying, "Hey, I'd like to know more," you're getting to this point. If you make a claim and you're not credible, they're trying to get you off their radar. But if you are making the claim and you're found to be credible with them, or even potentially credible, you'll start feeling them wanting to talk to you. Okay. Now, the fourth fourth threshold here, and one that we often miss, is where they are granted social permission to seriously consider this. And here's what I mean by that. If where they are working, their spouse, their extended family, their friends, they all think where they currently work is amazing. And if you leaving there, you'd be crazy to do it. That's a very hard hire to make. So when you're doing these conversations leading up to the offer, you have to ask, how does your family feel about this? Like, let's say you really made this change, Earl. Let's say this happened. How's your wife feel about this? How do your kids feel about it? What about this would make them happy? So you have to address that issue of the social permission, right? And then the last piece is timing. Okay, so how's the timing for this? Well, I got to tell you, John, 6 weeks from now, I'm due for a bonus. Okay, so you're saying to me that in 6 weeks you cross a date or the check is in hand? Oh no, it's another 2 weeks until the check is in hand. Okay, so you're saying the day the check is in hand, that might be better timing for you. Yes, that now we're talking. Okay, so now I talked to someone. This was a more executive role, but I talked to someone a few weeks ago who is in a current job, and we talked about this, and he talked about what he left behind when he came to that current role, and he left behind a $90,000 bonus because it was more important to him to move into that role than to collect that 90,000. And the timing was what it was. And so, sometimes the timing creates itself if the offer feels strong enough and the pain of the status quo is high enough, so they want to come no matter what the timing is. But timing usually matters. Okay. So let's go over this again. Awareness of you, that you exist, awareness of their problem and your solution to that problem. We talked about the 5. Your credibility as a source for a solution for that, them triggering, like you becoming relevant as a result, the granting of social permission to make this move, and then timing. And you should be managing a pipeline of prospects and knowing, by the way, they happen in that order. So you should know where each one is at. And your strategy is not to move them at any point immediately to coming on board with you. If they are simply becoming aware that you have a solution, your next move is to become credible. Get a lunch with you and somebody who works there. Hire a company to do promotional testimonial videos of someone telling the story of them solving that problem. Okay. Now, let's say you're credible, you're relevant, they seem interested. What's your next move? How's your family feel about this? How's your spouse feel about this? Right? You see, you have to work them through these steps in order to get a hard yes quickly when the time comes. Right? And even with the timing, you have to work through all of those things. This is part of the new reality. When it was just a job transaction, I mean, if you're already needing a job, the timing is really good right now. We don't have to worry about timing because I'm already looking. But if I'm not already looking, I have to work through these other components. Okay. So write down, if you can, just write down, don't do it while you're driving, but write down what you just heard me say and start thinking through what is the phase each of my prospects is in and how do I move them not all the way to yes, but just to the next phase. And in my pipeline, I should know where each of my prospects is at and what the next move is so that I'm moving them systematically to yes. Okay, makes sense? Listen, I'd love to talk to you more about it, how you do this at your company. We're right now rolling out the in house recruiting machine that kind of gets down and dirty with this and gets much more specific for your company. If you like, I get gobs of requests for people to just, can you just give me a tech? And I have started doing that. So if you just say, look, John, it's May turning June, I need a guy. Can you just, I don't have time for a whole, just give me a guy. We can talk. You have to be willing to make the offer that makes that happen. Otherwise, we're all wasting our time. But I am doing that stuff right now. But your bigger solution long term is the in-house recruiting machine, because other good things happen. When you have an in-house recruiting machine, everybody else in the organization feels relieved of the question, if we get this new work, can we deliver it? And if we can't, and I'm not confident we can, why should I go sell it? And a bunch of other gears start grinding and slowing down because you don't have a pipeline, you don't have an in-house recruiting machine that contributes to the perception of the whole company for everybody inside the company. Okay? So, make a comment below, reach out to me on social media. Me or my staff will get back to you quickly. We'll set up a time and we'll talk. All right. My name is Dr. John Sherk, and this is Brown Bag Lunch. And I just love giving you all I can for free on this broadcast. So you can go be successful and thrive. And if you need a little bit more help, reach out. We'll talk to you next time.